This is how it feels, at the very start, when everything is just as it should be. Your bed is soft, your blanket is heavy across your legs. The sheets are cool at first, but warm up as you shift and settle in. There's nothing strange outside, only the wind now and then, against the windowpane. It's just another night, quiet, maybe a little colder than you like. But that's nothing special. Most things in life are a little more uncomfortable than they seem at first glance. Your pillow is too puffy or not enough, the room is a shade too shadowed, but comforting all the same. You close your eyes and listen to the familiar hush of your home, and that should be enough. You let your mind fall into its routine. You think about your day. It was uneventful. Work was slow, the lights in the hallway flickered but only once, and you remember passing by Mrs. Whitaker across the street. She waved, and you didn't have the energy to wave back, but she didn't seem to mind. Small things like that. You reach for your phone, check messages you know aren't there, and then set it down. Electric quiet. You unplug and settle, breathing slower now. Nothing is wrong. You leave the little lamp on. You always have. The glow is low and buttery, its shape a softened circle. The hallway is dark beyond, but you aren't afraid. Nothing has ever come out of that hallway. You think about all the nights before. All the ones the same as this. The floor feels steady beneath you, and your building is emptying out for the night. The world is shrinking to just this room, the sheets, and the gentle click of the heater. Your mind drifts. Routine. Heartbeat. Breathing. The safe, bored loops before sleep. And for a time, as you close your eyes, nothing interrupts you. The air moves quietly through the vent, a car moves slowly by outside. You don't even have to listen. You just feel the warmth increasing under your blanket and the slow, sleep-heavy weight behind your eyes. You're close to sleep, you realize, and it's nice. The tiredness feels soft, like a blanket piled over another blanket, until your mind gets hazy at the edges. You think about your to-do list for tomorrow, then the next day, then nothing much at all. You almost miss it, the smallest thing. A sound underneath the heater's click, under even the hum of your thoughts. Right on the verge, just before true sleep, you hear your name. It doesn't make sense, at first. Your name can't be in your room. You turn in bed, shift your feet, and let yourself settle again, thinking it must have been the start of a dream. That's all. You tell yourself so, gently, still half asleep. But the edge of the moment feels a little frayed, as if the silence was not quite as blank as you remembered. You drift, caught between waking and falling asleep. Your arms are heavy. Your eyelids flicker. You almost forget about the whisper. Lights outside your window flicks, you hear an engine pass. You wonder if your mind invents things, just before dreaming. Maybe you did hear something, but it doesn't matter now. You wonder if you'll dream about someone calling you from down the hallway. It wouldn't be a nightmare, just a dream stuffed with strange faces and odd rooms, like any night. You don't dream at first. Just blackness. Floating sleep. You come up from it, a few breaths later, or a few hours, you can't tell, and the air is a touch colder. Your blanket has shifted off your arm. The lamp, which you left on its dimmest setting, casts a low yellow spill across your pillow. Everything is still. You blink, and think about rolling over. That's when you hear your name whispered again. Not loud, not sharp. Just barely there. Enough to make your skin crawl, but not quite enough to be sure it's even a voice. Your name, spoken slowly, the vowels dragged out so they barely fit together. The voice is genderless. The tone is empty but gentle. It could have come from the hallway. Or maybe closer. You aren't sure what to do, so you stay very still. You try to breathe as if you haven't noticed. Your heart picks up. But logic takes over, as it does. You're tired. You must have imagined it. You're still half asleep, or maybe your neighbor is up, talking to someone late at night. You tell yourself this is silly, even as you strain to listen. But all you hear is the steady clicking of the heater and the wind at the window, nothing else. You turn over, pulling your blanket up to your chin. You consider getting up to check the hallway, but it seems too much effort. Besides, you know you'll only find nothing: dim drywall, a shut bedroom door, the safe pattern of carpet that's exactly as it always is. So you nestle deeper, and try to find sleep again. As your mind fuzzes at the edges, you wonder about the voice. It's odd how quickly your mind tries to fill in the gaps. Maybe it sounded like your mother, or like a friend from school. Maybe you just read too many stories about people hearing things in the dark. Maybe your brain is bored, trying to trick you. The longer you think about it, the sleepier you get again. You tell yourself you won't remember in the morning. Sleep is the only way to escape the feeling. And so, with effort, you let yourself fall. Your body is heavy, warmth prickling along your arms and the back of your neck. The quiet grows thicker. For a while, all you hear is the breathing from your own chest and the settling sighs of your home. Whatever you heard vanishes into the background, lost where you can't reach it anymore. Safe, for now. Morning is gray and familiar. You wake to your alarm, the same soft bell as always. You don't remember much about the night except that you tossed more than usual. You chalk it up to nerves, or too much coffee, or maybe the way your back hurt after sitting too long at the desk. The day moves on at its slow pace, and nothing feels especially strange. You feel a little out of it, like you missed sleep, but nothing more. Later, you even wonder why you thought you'd heard anything at all. Rationalization is easy in the sunlight. That night, you make your usual tea, hold the cup under your chin as you wait for it to cool. You check the back door, lock it with one solid turn. You put your phone on silent, then check it again to be sure. Everything is exactly as it should be. You even straighten the corners of your blanket before you get in bed, making sure nothing can slip off and leave you cold in the middle of the night. You remind yourself, as you settle in, that you don't believe in ghosts. You never have. You listen, for a while, to the house around you. To pipes creaking, to the roof shifting in the first snap of night. It's a strange comfort, the predictable cycle of noises you've always half ignored. You open your window just a crack for air, breathe in the chill. Life narrows further, slowed down by tiredness and the calm that always comes after too much time awake. You think of the whisper, but only at the edge of memory. It feels like something you half dreamed, like a scene from a movie you forgot. If you don't look right at it, it fades on its own. You draw your blanket up, letting your mind drift into the swirl of sleep. This is the calm before anything can go wrong, and you tell yourself you're safe. The lamp is on, the door is closed, the quiet is unbroken except by the world doing what it always does. You aren't afraid. You shouldn't be. As sleep approaches, you wonder what you'll dream about. Not voices. Not any of that. Tomorrow is a long day, an early breakfast, a list of errands, maybe a call from someone you haven't spoken to in years. There will be light. There will be company. You sigh, tired enough now that even your worries begin to fade. You let your mind fray, edges blurring, until you hang on the edge again, the soft, silent void that lets you fall under for the night. Again, you hear your name. There. Soft. As if coming from underneath you, or farther away than the walls allow. Not a full sound, but not silence either. Your name, just on the edge of meaning. You open your eyes. The room is empty. The hallway dark. For a moment, you listen. The heater clicks on, the window shifts a little in its frame. Nothing else. You tuck your arms tighter, tell yourself it's just a sound. But the night feels a touch different now, as if it waited for you to notice something you missed. For a while, you drift on the borderland between sleep and waking, remembering the whisper, steady and patient, folded into the night that surrounds you. It doesn't return, not now. But it leaves its echo, quiet but certain, somewhere close by as you fall asleep. That is how things begin. There's something about repetition that can either comfort or disturb. The second night is like the first in so many ways. You follow the same bedtime routine, you brush your teeth, run the faucet a little longer than necessary, letting warm water pool over trembling hands, though you blame it on the chill in your bones. You glance at yourself in the mirror, face slack with tiredness, under-eye shadows a little darker than usual, but nothing alarming. You move through your rooms on autopilot, straightening a picture frame, feeling the floor creak in all the spots you already know by heart. You make your tea, jasmine tonight, and let the steam roll over your cheeks as you stare into the half-lit kitchen. There's always a hush around this time, when the neighbors have locked their doors, the street outside gone empty but for the odd pair of headlights gliding past a closed window. You listen for animals outside, a dog barking at nothing, the little claws of a raccoon across the garbage bin, but it's mostly quiet. You check your locks, recheck them, check the stove. Lights off. Only the lamp beside the bed stays on, painting everything in that familiar yellow circle. You move to your bed and lower yourself with a long sigh, pulling the blankets close. You count the gentle, predictable sounds, the hum of the fridge through the wall, a radiator click, the faint drone of the city way off in the distance, hushed under layers of walls and wind. You spend longer on your phone tonight, for no real reason. Scrolling. Mindless. You check the time. You nearly catch yourself glancing at the hallway once or twice, but it's only because you've told yourself not to think about it. You put your phone down finally, feeling the emptiness settle around you again. It's almost soothing, the way the silence thickens in every corner, as if folding you in. It takes time for sleep to come to you tonight, you aren't sure why. You imagine it's work stress, or perhaps some combination of caffeine and minor anxieties. You practice slow breathing, letting your thoughts drift further away with each count. Lying alone, you listen carefully to all the sounds your home has to offer. For a while, there's nothing new. But you can't quite settle. Each little unfamiliar tick draws your attention, though you know it's probably nothing. It's almost as if the quiet is too complete, making the world feel all the emptier, yet somehow fuller. You close your eyes, float on the edge of sleep. Warmth pools along your chest, your limbs heavy as they sink into the bed. You count the seconds between your breaths, willing yourself to slide under. Just as you start to drift, your name ripples through the silence. This time, it's faster, a little clearer. Not invented from inside your own head, but almost added to the silence, barely above the level of thought. The voice isn't hostile or warm, just present. It draws your mind back from the edge, and you freeze again. You try to make sense of it. You run through explanations. Maybe your mind repeats familiar sounds in a quiet house, maybe the wind passed through the window in just the right way. But your skin prickles, hairs at the nape of your neck on edge. You wait for a second call, or a footstep, or some other proof of intrusion. None comes. First you listen harder. Nothing. The heater is on, the lamp glows, the night outside cares little for your worry. You try to make decisions slowly, as if calm will undo the moment. You sit up, blankets bunched around your waist. You stare at the open doorway, every shadow a little more certain than before. When you finally slip from the bed and pad softly to the hallway, the carpet is familiar under your toes. You check each room, turning on lights as you go. Kitchen. Bathroom. Spare room. Not a thing is out of place. You want to laugh, maybe, if you weren't so sure you had heard something real. Even the air feels unchanged. You pace a little, trailing fingers along the walls. Your reflection in the hallway mirror is smudgy and tired. You check the front door, locked, as it always is. You look out the window, no movement except for one lonesome cat staring from the sidewalk, unbothered. You return to your bed, the lamp left burning lower still. You know with a strange certainty that locking the doors, checking the rooms does nothing against something you can't quite place. But you do it anyway, because moving gives your mind something to focus on. You lie back down and stare at the ceiling. You replay the sound in your memory, trying to turn it over, as if a different angle would show you how simple this all really is. But you can't make it sound like your own voice. You can't explain it. It grows and twists in memory, taking on a shape that's exactly the same every time you replay it. For a long while after, you don't sleep. You count the lines in the shadow where the nightlight illuminates the wall. You listen to your heart. After some time, exhaustion pulls you down, and you sink into dreamless, uneasy rest. You wake late and feel as though you haven't rested at all. The day passes in a haze. The world is a little too bright, your eyes sensitive. You forget simple things, where you put your keys, what you meant to do the moment you stood up. You laugh it off with colleagues and hope the fog lifts. In your mind's quietest corners, you think about the whisper. Only a fluke, you say again and again, as if repetition will drive away doubt. By afternoon, you've half convinced yourself it was nothing. But any time you're alone, the memory creeps back, gentle and unwanted. There's an echo to your nights now, a pattern that builds without your consent. You go through your evening rituals with more intention. You use your phone as a buffer, a shield. You glance at the lamp to make sure it's just bright enough. You start to leave the radio on low in the kitchen when you go to bed. Calm talk, soft static. You tell yourself you're being rational. You just like background noise, you say. The days move like this for a while, each night blending with the last, routine beginning to feel fragile, stretched thin. But the whisper does not stop. It finds you on the edge of sleep, just before you slip over. Always the same, your name, spoken out of nowhere, as if dropped into the quiet from a place too close for comfort. Sometimes it's softer, threaded under the sound of the radio, sometimes almost clear enough to make you sit up with a jolt. Still, there is never any other proof, no footsteps, no movement other than your own. The house is as calm as ever, but now you cannot trust the quiet. You start to wake up at odd hours, heart racing, unsure if the voice woke you or something else entirely. At times, you jab the bedside lamp on, blinking into the light as if it will shake off whatever presence you've invited in. You lie back, eyes open, until exhaustion overcomes fear. The next night you repeat the cycle, more tired than before. Each day you wake duller, less certain of yourself, but too tired to question whether you're letting your mind trick you. People notice. At work, friends ask if you're feeling all right. You mumble excuses, scratching your arm, wondering if they can hear your name hiding under your breath. You flinch at unexpected sounds, avoid long stretches of silence. Sometimes, you find yourself speaking your own name aloud, as if you can drown out the echo left behind each night. Sometimes, you say it softly to yourself just to prove you have control. Every so often, you try to make a joke about it to someone. Oh, I think my house is haunted, or I keep hearing weird things at night, but the words catch and fall flat. They don't carry the weight of what you hear when you're alone, right there on the border between dreams and waking. No one really knows how to answer. You stop trying. The day feels even emptier. So your routines deepen. Tea. Lock up. Radio on. Lamp on. Check every room. Listen too closely. Wait for a voice. Sometimes, you try to trick it, pretending to fall asleep, staying perfectly still. Sometimes, you twist your pillow, press your ear tight against it, but that only leaves the other ear open. It never helps. You tell yourself you'll have to sleep at a friend's house, or just stay up all night. But you never do. The habit is too strong. No matter how anxious you feel, you always end up in your own bed, the world shrinking down to your own room, that old lamp, that same soft glow. You wonder if the whisper is something inside you, stitched into your thoughts so thoroughly that leaving the house won't solve it. You think about seeing a doctor, or asking a neighbor to stay the night, but it all seems too embarrassing, too dramatic. The idea lingers, though, hovering at the back of your mind while the nights blur together. On the sixth night, something different happens. You fall asleep, heavy with exhaustion. Your mind unspools, the edge of fear dulled by bone-deep tiredness. Your sleep is deep and dark. In your dream, you're walking down your own hallway, but it goes on much longer than it should. Your name is called, clear as waking, a gentle whisper bouncing off the walls, matching your step for step. You wake with a start, drenched in sweat, almost certain you heard the voice right by your ear. But you're alone. The lamp is still on. Nothing moves. Outside, the sun is hinting at daybreak, weak gray light under the curtain. You count every sound. A neighbor downstairs, the start of traffic, your own heartbeat. For a moment you feel relief, it's only a dream, just a noise. But even in daylight, the idea clings to you like netting. You fumble through the day, distracted, disturbed by how the routine has changed you without your permission. At night, you lay down, more hesitant than ever. The familiar rituals do nothing to ease the tension now. You go through every step just the same, but it's as if the house is watching you, waiting. When you close your eyes this time, you don't even pretend things will go differently. You know with unsettling certainty that when you hover on the border of dreams, the whisper will return. You dread it, but you also wait for it. In the thick silence, your name comes again, gentle, insistent, soft, as it always is. You hold your breath, eyes wide in the dark, half hoping for an answer, half terrified of getting one. With each night, exhaustion weighs a little heavier. Your reflection in the bathroom grows unfamiliar, paler, eyes rimmed dark, a thin tension in your jaw that wasn't there before. Your movements slow, you feel yourself drifting through the days as if through water. Everything seems muted, distant, as if you're only a visitor inside your own life. You talk less, listen more. There's a weight behind every silence, a hidden second rhythm to every pause. The moments in between daily noise become uncomfortable. You flinch at the quiet, even small ones, an elevator ride, a walk alone in a hallway, the hush before your phone rings. Each stillness invites your name to slip through, gentle, impossible to locate but impossible to ignore. You stop telling people about your nights, certain that you'll see their concern turn into doubt. You say you're tired, you say work wears you out, you say anything but the truth. You begin to wonder if a name, repeated gently enough, could start to change a person. You wonder if a voice, barely present at the edge of sleep, can make you doubt the solidity of your own mind. Your routines become rigid, almost ritualistic. When you get home, you set down your keys and check the door twice. You walk each room in the apartment, counting steps, touching framed photos as if they might tell you that nothing's changed. You try to fill the silence, TV, radio, phone calls that last long enough to outlast the old dread. But when it's time to sleep, the quiet returns regardless. The whisper comes earlier now. Sometimes you catch it when you shut off the faucet, the last trickle of water fading, your name superimposed over the hush. Sometimes it waits until you crawl beneath the blanket, body tense, mind straining for any sign that tonight will be different. Most nights, it's back where it started, soft, insistent, patient. Never angry, never changing. If you stay awake, the whisper waits. If you doze, it arrives. Sometimes it feels closer, sometimes it's so faint you wonder if you missed it entirely. But you never escape it. Sleep becomes less a place of rest and more a thin, shifting line, a fragile in-between, haunted by the sound of your own name. You try headphones, soft music, white noise. They help only sometimes. The moment the world grows still, the voice finds you. You try to trick yourself into staying awake, reading until dawn with heavy lids. You drink too much coffee, then none at all. You try sleeping on the couch, the floor, weighted under every blanket you can find. The whisper follows. It makes no demands, offers no explanation. It is simply always there, its presence as much a fact as your own heartbeat. The apartment starts to feel wrong. Shadows seem deeper, corners are slower to reveal their secrets. Sometimes, you catch the faintest shift in the air from room to room, the softest echo where there shouldn't be any. Objects feel ever so slightly misplaced. A framed photograph tilts itself despite your adjustments, a book slides over the edge of your nightstand, pages fluttering to rest on the floor. You nearly trip on the rug one morning and can't remember moving it. You begin to avoid mirrors at night. Your own face looks back at you with a gaze you can't quite trust, as if something else is looking out from inside. In the half-light, you almost expect your own lips to move before you can speak. More than once, you close your eyes in the hallway, hurry past, unwilling to risk catching your name whispered there, too. Friends text you less. You take longer to reply. You drift through your work, nodding in meetings, forgetting your own words halfway through a sentence. The world shrinks. Your apartment at night, the whisper, and then the haze of morning. There is nothing else. When you do finally get a dream, it's different than before. Instead of endless hallways, you see yourself, lying asleep, your features soft in lamplight, exactly as you are every night. You watch yourself close your eyes. The silence thickens, and you, standing there in the dream, hear your name whispered by your own lips. You wake shaking, swallowing terror as it thaws in your chest. The line between your mind and the world around you is thinner than ever. You try to catch the whisper in the act. You wake fast, you turn on the light, you leave the door wide, but it doesn't help. Sometimes you think you see motion at the edge of your vision, quick as a blink. Sometimes, you catch a faint chill not explained by the draft. Sometimes, you try to say your name yourself, softly, as if reclaiming it will change the pattern. But it never sounds right when it comes from you. The whisper continues, patient, as though it always belonged to the night and not to any person at all. You remember your childhood, how, when you couldn't sleep, you'd listen for patterns in the dark. The old house settling, the crickets in the sill. This is nothing like that. There is no comfort here, only the slow, grinding sense that something is terribly off. You realize, as nights gather, that you do not know what it means for a home to stop feeling safe. One evening, you stand in the center of your living room feeling smaller than you ever have. You speak aloud, half to the voice, half to yourself, "Please stop." Your words dissolve into the hush. You try again the next night, voice firmer but softer still. Nothing changes, except that the silence afterward feels newly watchful. You begin to dread the time between switching off the lamp and falling asleep, as if you are being measured and weighed in those lost seconds. The whisper starts appearing outside of night. You hear your name as you blink awake on the bus, or as you close your eyes at your desk for just a moment too long. You whip your head toward the sound each time, but no one is there, and no one notices. You try to hold on to thoughts of normality, emails, small talk, errands at the corner store. But each night, the rituals grow more frantic, checking locks, counting steps, arranging things in exact order. All to keep the uncertainty at bay. Your dreams begin to blur with waking life. You see the lamp glow in your mind even when you're at work, see your own bedroom door in the corners of unfamiliar rooms. You start writing notes to yourself, don't listen, don't answer, but the act only serves to remind you of what you're trying to escape. Soon, every echo, every hush, crawls with that expectant pause. As if the night is waiting for you to finally reply. You avoid phone calls, fearing your name might slip through from the other side. You grow wary of the sound of your own voice, refusing to say your name at all. One night, you try to hum yourself to sleep, hoping sound and memory will crowd out the whisper, but it doesn't work. The voice never grows frustrated, never grows louder, only waits, patient as ever, sliding into your peace just as you start to drift. You realize, deeply, that you are alone with the voice. No routine will undo this. The silence is laced with anticipation, every breath before sleep heavy with dread. The world outside drifts further away as each day folds into night, and the boundary of your apartment contracts keeps you small. You wish for company, but the thought of anyone else hearing your name whispered in the dark fills you with guilt and fear. This is yours, and only yours. No answer comes, only the repetition, night after night, until you start to lose track of which hours are for waking and which for waiting. The rest is just detail, your own name, set on a loop beneath the silence, calling you onward, even as you have nowhere left to go. You lose count of the days. Even light through the window feels unnaturally thin. You wake with your heart pounding without cause, sweat clinging to you despite the cold. The whole apartment is caught in a kind of stasis, dust settles thicker, air feels unmoved. What should be ordinary now feels alien. The world outside fades to a distant, muffled hum. Your phone rings less often, messages go unread. You move through your rooms as quietly as possible, tension stretched fine through each motion. Small chores become burdens, washing a single dish, folding a single shirt. You rarely look directly into mirrors, afraid to see something linger behind your own eyes. At night, the rituals have become hollow. You try not to check the locks anymore. Instead, you sit at the edge of your bed, waiting. The lamp's gold glow is dull, casting more shadow than light. You can hear the steady hum of your own breathing, the creak of old wood shifting against the wind. The voice is always close now, part of the fabric of the dark. On some nights, it waits until you're nearly drifting. Others, it comes almost as soon as you close your eyes. Always the same, your name, soft, even gentle, but chilling in its persistence. You stop trying to ignore it, your mind too tired. You lie still, staring at the ceiling, breath shallow. You watch the lamp's shape on the wall, waiting for something you cannot name. Sometimes you wonder what the voice wants. You remember fairy tales, stories of beings who take names, own names, but there's nothing magical here, nothing dramatic. Just a repeated calling, a gentle tap at the edge of your consciousness. A question you cannot answer. A call you don't know how to refuse. One evening, you return home after another gray day, and you realize, with slow dread, that you no longer remember how your life felt before. The days dissolve as quickly as you live them, nothing is memorable except the moment just before sleep, where you hang, half awake, waiting. The silence in your home feels inhabited, thick with purpose. You sit in the living room, not turning on the lights, letting the darkness settle against your skin. You listen. The hush is not empty. It is a tide, rolling in with every breath, pressing close until you feel your shape dissolve inside of it. You stand and move to your bedroom, lamp casting its weak glow. You no longer bother with tea, with checking every room. There's nowhere to look, nowhere to hide from the whisper. You realize that the house is as familiar with you as you are with it, the same floor creaks, the same sigh of the heater, the same stillness. But now, every silence carries memory, every shadow is loaded with anticipation. Tonight, you lay down quietly, not even pulling your blanket close. You leave your eyes open, watching the gold stain of light drift across the ceiling. You wait, and when the whisper comes, you do not tense. There it is. Your name. Quiet, solemn, patient. It no longer startles you. You close your eyes. For the first time, you listen as closely as you can. The whisper doesn't grow any clearer. It simply is, constant, unbroken, a fact as basic as breath. In that soft, dark waiting, an answer rises in you, not with words, but with a resigned understanding. This is yours now. The whisper belongs to you, or perhaps you belong to it. The line between inside and out, between your mind and the night, has faded away. You realize, with a slow ache, that even if the whisper stopped, you would wait for it. The silence will never be whole again. Night after night, you carry out your hollow routines. Tea, lights, the bed, the lamp, the sighs and the shivers. Sometimes, you rise in the darkness, feeling the voice coil and uncurl through the rooms with you. You sit at the kitchen table, the walls closing in, as the hush carries your name through every surface, every shadow. You forget the taste of rest. Instead, you wait for the call, a quiet, endless repetition, soft as dust, steady as the heartbeat that keeps you moving from one sleepless night to the next. The world grows smaller, quieter, as you learn to live a little closer to the edge of things, caught forever between the silence and the whisper that will not let you go. You become something else, a watcher, a listener, a name carried softly through the dark. Each night, before sleep, you lie waiting, calm and tense at once, listening as your name slips through the quiet one more time. The lamp burns low, the shadows pile up, and the whisper remains, so much a part of you that even silence has learned your name.